Welcome back to News at 11. Rockets, terrorism, and the Iron Dome. Tonight, we're going to try to break down what's been happening in the Middle East this past week, specifically in Israel, Gaza, and Lebanon. It all comes at a very sensitive time during the holy month of Ramadan and the Jewish celebration of Passover. Now let's start with the inner turmoil in Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his new far-right government aims to overhaul the judicial system. Protesters demand he abandons this legislation, which has triggered months of unrest throughout the country. Israeli police brutally stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem for 2 nights in a row last week. It's the third holiest site to Muslims, which sits atop a sacred compound to both Jews, Muslims, and Christians. 12 Palestinians were injured in clashes around the mosque. Israeli police forced entry and arrested more than 350 worshippers.
I think the international community is really what happened in Aqsa is the reason for what happened from Lebanon yesterday. I'm not justifying it. We don't want any violation of the peaceful situation in South Lebanon. I'm not justifying it, but I'm explaining it, that what happened in Aqsa is very important, and it really, there is a reaction from the Palestinians. There is a feeling from the Palestinians that this shouldn't happen, that their brothers in the West Bank and Gaza should be able to go to Al-Aqsa Mosque without any problems.
Israelis say the majority of worshippers were peaceful, but they needed to stop a small number of radicalized rioters at that time, which then escalated. Next, the Palestinian militant organization Hamas, which has been dubbed a terror organization by the U.S., fought back with rockets and terrorism. A 45-year-old Arab Israeli drove his car into 6 pedestrians, killing 1 and injuring 5 others. Israeli authorities confirmed that the 1 person has died, and it's Italian citizen Alessandro Parini. All of the pedestrians hit in the incident were Italian and British tourists. When officers approached the car, they suspected the driver was trying to reach for a weapon and killed him. And yesterday, 2 Israeli sisters in a settlement in the West Bank were shot dead. They were just 20 and 15 years old. Their mother remains hospitalized in critical condition, and Israelis are on high alert for more terrorist attacks. And now to the onslaught of shelling across the region. Israel, which is only the size of New Jersey, borders Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. Israel is now facing tens of rockets from Hamas and northern neighbors, Lebanon, Syria, and its southern neighbor, Gaza. Luckily, most of these rockets were intercepted by the Iron Dome, but the same can't be said for Gaza or Lebanon. The IDF says their rockets are aimed directly at Hamas terrorists. On Friday, Israel continued to strike back against Palestinian militant targets across the region, including in southern Lebanon. CNN's Scott McLean brings us the updates.
It has been well over a day now since the Israelis struck back in southern Lebanon in response to a barrage of rocket fire across the border in its direction, the most since 2006. There is calm here, but it is an uneasy calm, and you can see why. This is some of the scarred landscape, the pockmarked earth as a result of one of these strikes, and you can imagine just how big the impact would have been when you see the crater left behind. It is enormous. You could easily fit several cars in this hole in the ground, and this is one of several sites that were targeted by the Israelis. A Lebanese security source says that they were aiming at weapons. They were aiming at sites linked to Palestinian militant groups here in Lebanon. But some local residents say that, look, those sites would not have been good places to hide weapons. Instead, they insist that the Israelis were simply trying to send a message. Scott McLean, CNN, in southern Lebanon.
Well, now to wrap it up, the entire region is on extremely high alert as rockets continue to light up the sky. We'll continue to bring you more updates as soon as we get them.